This video is about how I made a reflex gauge for my Locomobile steam car. Initially, I had a glass gauge assembly on the side of the car, which used 10-inch glass sight glasses. But the problem was I couldn't find 10-inch. I was buying 12s and I was cutting them down with a glass cutter, and I was snapping it. And what was happening, now you can see this one is not cut very well. This is one that broke. But after I would snap it, apparently, which I didn't realize, but you're supposed to flame the end so you don't get any micro cracks. And I wasn't doing that, so I'd cut the end and I'd put it in the car, and as the pressure came up to about 100 psi, the glass would explode. Apparently the crack would, micro cracks were occurring, and the crack would start, where it wasn't flame, and would propagate up the glass and explode. My other concern was having this glass exposed when you're driving down the road always concerned me about it breaking, and especially if you go to car shows and people are up close looking at it. There's always a risk of that happening. So I decided, after I went through about 4 glasses, was to make a reflex gauge. I happened to go to a museum down in Florida, in the Clearwater area, and they had a Stanley, or it might have even been an early Locomobile, and it was probably in 1899 or 1900, that had a reflex gauge. So I kind of copied the design, modified what I wanted to do, and produced it. Now, the thing I was trying to accomplish was I'm still using the existing valves that this glass would normally sit in, so that's why it was a little more involved. What I ended up doing, and here's the pieces. This is the reflex glass, and you can see it's quite thick, so it's not going to easily crack. And this is the section that's right here, is the section that's towards the inside of it, and because light gets refracted, and that's how you know when you're at the water level. This is the outer section. This whole assembly is made from 316 series stainless steel. I decided to go with that. The one I saw down there was steel. I've seen ones that are brass, but I had the availability of stainless steel, so I decided to do it with stainless steel. A little more work, a little harder machining, but I don't know, I just had it and wanted to do it. So what I ended up doing was I picked up the glass that I wanted, so it would fill the whole glass gauge with very little spacing, top and bottom, because I wanted to put it in place of where the existing glass was. I didn't want to have to replumb the car. So what I ended up doing is picking up a chunk of stainless steel. I think this is 2.5 inches wide, 1 inch thick, and as you can see, I machined it. I had drawings that I used, but I machined it quite deep, so the glass fits inside of it. Normally, you would have fittings. You would have a fitting here, and you would have one on the opposite side, and that would be threaded, and that would go, between the 2 valves on the boiler. But I did mine a little different. What I ended up doing was I picked up a piece of 1/4 inch plate, same series plate, and I picked up a 5/8 rod, and it wasn't hollow. I actually drilled it out. I used 5/8 because that's the same thickness as the same diameter as the glass, so it would fit right in the same fittings. I drilled it out, and then after drilling it, what I did was I drilled the holes, these holes here, and then I bolted, using 5/16 bolts, I bolted this thin piece to this piece to prevent warping as I was TIG welding it. This is TIG welded all the way down, both sides and the ends to minimize the amount of warping. Even though it was bolted, it still did warp a bit. It developed two kind of curves. It developed a curve in this direction, and it developed a curve that way. I was able to press out the curve somewhat, and at that point in time, I did a fly cut to fly cut this surface completely flat to true it up. And then what I had to do is after that is I had to machine a groove in here so the water that was in the tube would be able to get inside to the glass. And then this, if you notice, this has got a reset, and what it is you measure the thickness of the gasket, and you groove this section 10,000 less than the thickness of the gasket, so you got a little squish factor there. So that would go there. This side here would go here. The glass would go inside like that, and this assembly would very carefully go like this, get bolted together like that. And I'm using 5/16 18 stainless steel bolts on the and I'm going to use acorn nuts on this side so it looks a little decorative. So that's my next attempt now, is to assemble this and install it in the car, and then I'll show how it's installed in the car. That should do it for this video. Any questions, feel free to ask.